Mr. Irontrader, and this is Midday Trading. We'll take a look at some stocks here. We'll take a look here at NVDA, at Meta, at PLTR, and at Microsoft. This video is for information purposes only, not a recommendation to buy or sell any stock about ETF. Please like, subscribe. Thanks for watching. All right, here we have NVIDIA. Before we get started here, you can see here how all the indexes are red. Dow's down about 450, S&P's down 66, and NASDAQ's down about 377. Okay, what we had is Monday we had a nice big rally up, and then turned around Tuesday, which was right to the downside. Yesterday we had a real rally up here. It wasn't a huge rally, but it was a decent rally. And now we have this big downside situation here. So you got to be prepared for this volatile situation here, because a lot of times what you have is you have tax selling this time of the year. And, you know, a lot of the stuff here is getting such at nosebleed sections area that you got to kind of just, you know, step back a little bit. However, if you're a two-way trader like I am, hell, you're loving this market. To me, this is really a good market. And then what I'm looking for is some good buying opportunities here to go into the end of the year. All right, let's take a look here at NVIDIA. This is one of my favorite stocks here. Now, you can see how it rallied all the way up to that 212.19 level. And then we retested it here at 211.34. See this double top? Okay, boom. Double top situation. Look how nice and easy that is. Came right down, could not hold this 8 SMA, and now we're looking here for this 21 day. So this is going to be key support level, 190.35. Now, if we lose that, you're going to go right down to that 50 SMA here at 183.32. That's going to be your target. And then we have your 100-day, 176.27, and you're basically your retest there, 176.76 level, okay? So right there is going to be your target level. If we lose that 21-day, that 50-day, and then we'll come on there. Now, again, if we keep right on rolling, then we can do is just bring that price channel right on down here. You're looking at 173.13 level. We come right down here to the bottom there. You're looking at 168.41, and then we look at the bottom all the way down here at that 164.07 level, and you can work yourself down to that 200-day. However, you know, you got to lose the 21-day, 50-day, 100-day, and all in order to do that. So you have some really good support levels going on right there, okay? So you can see here how we got to like an overbought condition, came up, and then we tried to retest it, couldn't do it, made a lower high, and now we're just selling off. Now, this is nowhere near oversold. Okay, now the green is about ready to cross the red, so this could go very much lower here. So a key is today is just watch that 21-day. That's going to be key, and then watch that 50-day, 183.31, and then we have that 100-day at 176.27 level. Okay, now on the upside, we looked at yesterday's low. Okay, looking at that 194.65, and then we'll look to today's high, 197.62, and they're looking for the 02 Hondo here at the 8-day, okay? Now, again, if you can get above that, well, then we have this candle right going on right there at 202, and then we have this gap, okay? See where we have this? Okay, 203.97, there's your gap, and then look right to the below that is 205.56. So you have that gap and that fill, then we have that retest at 212. But always look at these patterns. See that? Double top situation. When you see this, get the hell out. Okay? I mean, wait. Sometimes they don't play out exactly. But again, what you do is get out of your trade and wait for that 212 to close above it. Then you can take it higher. If not, this is going lower. There should be no news to you. Okay, let's take a look here now at Meta. Alrighty, ever since Meta had their earnings, you can see how this big gap down. Okay, now they had good numbers on the earnings. That's not the problem. The problem is their spending. I mean, what they're doing, but again, down the road, that spending, I think, is going to come to fruition on the upside. Okay, so always remember that. But right now, it's just hammer time. Okay, so right now, you can see how your 50-day crossed the 100-day, your 8-day crossed the 21-day, crossed the 200-day. That's going to be very, very strong resistance. Now, today, we put this low in here of 619.18 level, okay? So what we want to do is look right to the left of the chart here. What do we have right there, okay? What do we got? 621. So now you're lower than that. There's your gap. And then we look to the top of that candle at 606.97. That's your next target, okay? So always look to the left of the chart, your gap. Now we're into the gap. Now look to that fill level, okay? At that 606.97. Now again, if it keeps on selling here, look what we got here, another gap. All the way down here, that's 570.50, and then we have the fill right there at that 549.10. Okay, your gap and your fill, and then we come all the way down here. We got another gap, 516.52, and then we have the fill right there at 506.88, and then we can have your retest all the way down here at that 479.80 level. Okay, now I'm not saying that's where it's going to get, but all you need to do is just look on the left of the chart here and look for these gaps in this fill. I talk about this all the time. Okay, so once it gets into that gap, it looks like it always wants to fill it. Now, again, that's where it could stop also. But if it keeps going, then we look to the next gap, okay, that 570 level, and then that next fill at that 549 level. Okay, now it keeps right on rolling. We look for the next gap, 516, and then we look for that fill at 506 level. Okay, that keeps right on going. Now, we're getting out here to a really, really oversold condition, pretty much like we had here. Then we had a nice good rally up here. Again, you can stay on the bottom, just like it did as it stayed on the top here for a while, above that 70 mark. But again, this right here, this has still room to go to the downside. Again, so we're getting very, very close. But again, watch these gaps and these fills, because the earnings that were good, but the spending is out of control, and the traders just don't like that. Okay, that's not going to work. Okay, now here on the upside, well, what we want to do is we want to watch this price channel at that 2601. Okay, then next level is going to be 642.23. Then we come down to the bottom of that candle there. You're looking at 650. Then we'll come to the top there, 659.33. Then we're going to be looking for that 8-day at 667.45. Then we have your 200-day sitting right here at that 678.83 level. Now, we have the 21-day, the 50, and the 100 every day, but also watch the top of that candle. That's that 680.96. There's your gap. And then we look to the bottom of that candle at that 742.51. There's your fill, your gap, your fill. But we have the 8-day, the 21-day, the 50-day, the 100-day before it can even get there. Okay, so once that price is above the 8-day, then we can have a nice good rally up. But once it starts getting below, then you fight it all the way until we can get right back up. But now this is just absolute waterfall here. So just be very, very careful. But watch this gap, okay? So right there, again, let's just quick review here. Today, you made a low so far of 619.18. So what you're looking for is the top of that candle right there at that 606.97. That's going to be your next big support level. And then here's that next gap at 570, and then there you go at 549. Okay, and then we have that next gap all the way down here at 516, and then your next fill right there at 506. Again, so a lot of times it can come on down. If it holds that gap, it doesn't have to go right into it, but now it looks like it wants to get into that gap. Okay, same thing here. If it comes down here and it holds that gap, then she can go in reverse, and then if it goes into it, it wants to fill that gap situation. Okay, so that is all your downside. The upside, you just really have to get ready back above this 8-day and that 200-day, get back in again, and then watch that gap and that fill on the upside. But there's a lot of resistance going on here in the old meta stock. Okay, let's take a look here now at Palantir. Okay, Palantir, now this was a really good trading stock. Okay, I rode it all the way up there. What do we got? We got as high as that 207, but in after hours, it got as high as 222. Okay, now what I did is I rode it all the way there from that 170, I think it was 172 level. Okay, 172 level. I rode it up into the earnings. Okay, and then after hours, just before closing, it got up to there. I got, it was waiting on earnings and it got to 208. Okay, so I dumped half my position at 208. Then I put a sell order in there at 220. The reason I put in there 220, because they said there was going to be a 9% move in either direction. So I just put it in there for 220. I figured I would take that and satisfied with that. Well, I got a couple points higher, so I didn't get the high, but I got the 220 out of that. So I was all out of there flat, half position at 208, then the other half there at 220 level, okay? Then she just sold right on off here. Now, they had really blowout numbers, but the problem is they're going to say, can it keep on doing this for all these quarters? Can it keep right on going on here? Now, again, Palantir is like L stocks. For me, it's just a trade. I have nothing say, okay, I have to have this. This is, I'm in love with this company and all that. That's nothing but bullshit. We're traders here. We don't really care. Only thing we care about is how we make money off the stock, okay? So now here on the downside, this is what we're watching, is we're watching that 50-day, 177.39. You can see you're sitting right on it. If we lose it, we're going to come right here, 169.42. Then we have your 100-day at 166 level, okay? Now, if we start losing that, we can bring this right over to the bottom there. You're looking at that 154 level. We'll come to the bottom of that candle there, 148. Then we have this big retest all the way down here at that 142 level. Then we have 134 all the way down to that as a 200-day. We look at the RSI. We got to look a little bit overbought condition, and now we're just selling off. And the green crossed over your head. Momentum's right to the downside. This is nowhere near oversold, and this looks like this wants to go lower. What did I do there? This looks like it just wants to go lower. So right now I have absolutely no position in Palantir, but what I'm doing is I'm looking for opportunity, okay? If we hold that 50 day, it might be a good scalp to go back higher again, okay? If not, we come down to that 163 and that 100 day, then we got to see if it shakes out. If we lose that 100 day, we have support right here, but odds of this going out to that 200 day are probably pretty good. So I'm waiting for this to get oversold, then I'll jump in here back on the long side because I think Palantir is a very, very good company and they're involved in pretty much everything situation. Now, on the upside, you got to get back to yesterday's low is going to be your resistance, 181.21, but you're really looking for that 185.41. There's your 21 level, and then we come on top of that candle at 190.32. Then we're looking for 193.37 level. Okay, then we're looking for this gap. Okay, see this here? Top of that 195.70. Then we look to the bottom of that candle at 201.82. Your gap, your fill, and then your retest of 207.52 level. Okay, but again, that's how I trade a lot of these big time stocks. Is I buy it way early, early as I can, kind of a situation. Okay, when I can see where it's sold down, but yet it holds support real nice, like we did right in this area right here. Okay, so we got as low down to that 169. I didn't get in there. I got it at 172. Okay, so we had a nice situation, but I figured that earnings, if you look at all the past earnings, they all went up, kind of a situation, and then this one started to sell off. But if you look at all the earnings, everything went and cracked up. So I figured the odds of this here going up are going to be very, very good situation. But you got to know when to get out of the trade. So I always sell half before, right at the end of the day, or when I can see it running up here, like it was just a little bit after hours, that 208, I said, okay, I'm at least going to pin in half the trade for profit from 172, to 208 flat. And then if it rallies up higher than that, then that's all nothing but gravy. So I just put it in there because I was looking at the 9%. Always look at what is the percentage that it's gonna roll up. Now you can go to a lot of different sites. The site I like is Polymarket. That seems to work out really good, where they'll give you what is going to be the range. In this case, it was like 9% to the upside or 9% to the downside. And I was figuring because of the past, it would always give you to the upside situation, and that's what it did. And it turned out to be just a beautiful profit-making trade. Now, again, I'm looking for opportunity. Watch that 50-day, watch that retest, and watch your 100 SMA here. Okay, let's take a look here now at Microsoft. Okay, here we have Microsoft. Okay, so we had this earnings up here, and it just gapped up and went right up. Now, I don't even have to show you. I can just show you this, and you can see exactly what I'm talking about here when it comes to double top situation. We hit this 555 level. Okay, we retested that thing with 553, and what happened? Okay, see, when you get these double tops, unless it closes back above that 555, it's going lower just like it did here. Okay, so now the 8-day is rolling over, 21-day, everything now your price is below everything. Okay, so today we made this low of 495.81. What we're looking for is the bottom of that candle right there at 492. That's going to be your next, support level. Okay, then what we can do is we come over here to the top of this candle right there. You're looking at 480.42 level. Okay, then what we can do is just bring that price channel right across. Then we can look at right there. You're looking at that 473 level. And then what we're going to do is we're going to come right here to your 200-day at 462. Okay. Now, if this keeps selling, which I don't know if it will or not, because Microsoft, very, very strong situation, because got a little bit to overbought, but not oversold here right now yet. And the same way to green, you've got plenty of room to go onto the downside, maybe down to 200. But what I want to point out to you is this big gap and fill. Okay. So right down here, if you're losing that 200-day, you're looking at that 424.90 level. There's your gap. And then we can look to the top of that candle at that 396.66. There's your fill. Gap and fill. Gap and fill kind of a situation. Now, again, it could come right down and hold that gap and then rally up here. If it even gets down here, always look for that gap and fill. But realistically, right now what we're looking for is the bottom of that candle. And then all we do is take these price channels and bring those right across. That is going to be all your support levels here until we hit this 200 SMA sitting at that 462.68. Now, on the upside, well, we got to get right back at that 506 level. Okay, if you do, then we got strong resistance. You got the 100-day at 510, the 50-day at 514. Okay, you got the 21-day at 518, and then we got that 8-day sitting right there at that 520 level. Okay, so you got a lot of resistance. Right now, the price is below all the simple moving averages except for the 200 SMA here. But right now, you say, just look at that. You see that double top. that tells me get the hell out of the old trade. I can always buy it back if it closes back above that 555 level. If it does, then I can take it back up towards that 600. But again, when you see that action like that, it's going south, and that's exactly what's happening. All right, that's what I got for you. I'll be back here at the old pit close. We'll take a look here at Bitcoin, at Ethereum ETF, gold, silver, crude oil, and natty gas. And we got all red. It's looking down. But again, now what you want to do, if you don't do it on the short side, okay, I trade SQQQ on the short side, works very, very nicely. Okay, if you can't find a short ski or you don't do short ski, just take your money, sit on your hands, and wait for opportunity. Trade what's in front of you, not what you want.